Hi, this is Jody Sharabi at AstroPod_cast. Welcome to the very last week of May 2025. And we are in the beginning of Gemini season. It is a great, exciting, very optimistic time. We have a very, very busy week coming up. This week, well, today is May 23rd, and we are having a meetup with Venus and Mars. Venus and Mars have been in a trine for most of this month, and it is exact today on May 23rd. Now, Venus, again, is the love planet, the happiness planet, and it is in Aries. And it is renewed, is rebirth. It is in a new section. And Mars also is moving forward in Leo, and it's also in new territory. So these are two fire signs, and Leo's exalted in Aries. So this connection between Aries and Leo is about passion, about going for the gold. With this combination, which I do have Mars, Aries very active in my chart, and I have a stellium in Leo. So this is really spurring me on to connect to people, get my work done, and it's very romantic. Now, if you're not thinking about romance, it's also very creative. So you can really get a lot of stuff done. If you're a writer, if you're an artist of some sort, this is the time. So this Gemini New Moon is very important because Mercury's here conjuncting it, and Mercury rules over Gemini. Again, Mercury is about communication, about things moving along quickly because Mercury controls everything that moves along quickly. So the Sun and Mercury and Gemini here are starting their connection on the 26th, but Saturn moves into Aries that same day and will be meeting up with Neptune. It's in close enough proximity to Neptune where it's conjunct almost. And it's also having a meetup with Pluto in Aquarius, a nice trine. And so there's a friendliness and freedom with this. And so we are we have a lot of options, as Gemini is the king of options and flexibility. And so we have to be more intentional here with Saturn in Aries meeting up with all these big outer planets making moves. So we are at the beginning, it's called a point of beginnings in Aries at 0 degrees. And there's going to be a big global change. There's going to be new leadership. There's going to be new ideals coming up in the next few months, according to the Valley McCord. And you must be intentional with what it is that you want, especially during this new moon, what you're wishing for. And since it's in Gemini, Gemini is the sign of writing, so it's a good time to write down and wish. So as Saturn enters Aries, it has a meeting with 3 degrees of Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And this Sabian symbol is the Hindu healer, where we are trying to heal ourselves of distortions of light. So we are becoming light beings, and this is one of the things that we're talking about is really understanding who you are and bringing that forward into the future. And if you don't, this is your chance with Saturn in the Aries on May 26th. And then in April 2028, it moves into Taurus. This is your chance to see who you are and figure out what it is you want to change. And then in July 14th through the 15th, there's going to be exact conjunction of Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries with Saturn. So, and when that happens, there's going to be a trine, a helpful trine from Uranus in Taurus to Pluto in Aquarius. And this will help us to move forward in our sovereignty and know what it is we want. And then on February 26th, there will be an exact conjunction of the Aries world axis. with Neptune, the exact time. And that is when the new world will begin for us in 2026. We'll get to see. So right now we have 3 months while these planets are moving forward, Neptune and Aries, to see the future. We're going to get glimpses of the future these next 3 months. And then when they go retrograde, nothing will be moving again until February. And we'll have that time to go over things as the new year arrives. And we go through Aquarius season and Pisces season. We're going to get to see what's happening. Pisces will be controlling all that. And Pisces will be moving back and moving back in January of 26 in Aries, whereas Saturn will be moving back in September and then moving back into Aries on February 14th. I find that kind of funny in that Saturn's going to be moving back into Aries on Valentine's Day. I think that is really a testament to loving ourselves. And from that love, going back into Aries is supporting your dreams yourself. Our dreams and intuition are really going to be activated. So really, during Gemini season, everything moves so quickly, and Gemini is by writing. So this is a good chance to write in your journal your dreams and intuition, because we're going to have a preview here. It's a rehearsal time until we get back to February 26th, and then we hit the gas. And this is according to a lot of astrologers, is that this summer, in the fall, we're going to be seeing the future. And if we're asleep while we're on vacation, we might miss things. So that's why it's really important to write it down, because if you don't write it down, like already as Gemini season's been here, I've noticed that I've lost train of thought occasionally. So with Saturn in Aries becoming more spiritual, because it just came out of out of Pisces, and Neptune was ruling it, and now it's meeting up with Neptune again. Saturn is really changing the times, the era. It is the father time. It is Chronos. So with Neptune being involved, there's going to be a lot of dreams, a lot of healing, a lot of creativity. But also with Neptune, you can zone out and lose your sense of self, which is where Saturn could, help bridge that light bridge that we were talking about last week. Saturn can put a form around our dreams, and that's what moving into Aries is about, is the beginning of the structure. Because Neptune dissolves, and Saturn was dissolving a lot of things. Now it's back. When it comes back into Aries in February, we're going to see that virtual reality is going to grow. People are going to take more risk and really figure out who we really are. But again, you have to be very intentional with this energy in Gemini, because words and stories and all that has a huge power here in Gemini, especially with all these meetups happening. So really, when Saturn is involved, it's a serious time, and Saturn's very uncomfortable in Aries. It is in default there, even though Mars rules it, and Saturn is a high octave of it. Saturn is the Mars that's wise, that takes time, thinks of strategies before it moves forward, like a game of chess, which Aries really is only about the impulse. And so with the Sun in Gemini, the speed of the time is quicker with this happening. And with Aries involved, you could be too reckless. And so with Saturn moving in, Saturn's going to help you not to be too reckless. And Jupiter supporting that from Gemini also. And again, Jupiter wants to expand everything, right? So we have this kind of dance going on where all the outer planets are helping us. And the other big thing is that Saturn and Aries are also going to be conjuncting Ceres. Ceres is the goddess of the harvest and rules over Virgo. So with Pluto here, it's going to dissolve a lot of the old ways that we've been abusing the earth. Hopefully that happens. And the collective message from Jupiter, who's at the 27th degree of Gemini, the galactic center, as Venus trines Mars, which has been active for all month. How are we going to heal our relationships? How are we going to act with tact? How are we going to let go of our ego and let it dissolve into our soul so that we can have a radical new beginning and try to control what we couldn't control before when this was going on, which was the Civil War, which is the fight for freedom and the states becoming a union, even though it was really not conducive for all parties. And that is still the karma of the American country, USA, is the karma of slavery keeps coming back as much as we fight for, like George Floyd's murder was the anniversary this week. And just like when President Obama became president, there was a lot of backlash. A lot of people could not handle it. So this karma of slavery is the dark side of America. And personally, with Saturn in Aries, it is a masculine energy. And it's entering here to push us for self-identity, taking charge of our own life, being youthful, feeling like a kid again, like a rebirth, like situations that can help you to see where some things you thought were true really aren't true. And you can use this injection of youthfulness to become a warrior for yourself, to become more aware and not to follow people that may be lying to you, which happened 100 years ago with all the world wars that occurred. So this is something we need to ponder. We are at 6 degrees for the Gemini New Moon, which also conjuncts Ceres and Mercury, who just entered into Gemini, which is its home base. It entered last week. So now with the Sun and Mercury in Gemini, Saturn also enters Aries on the same day. Along with all these aspects, there is a harmony involved because Neptune in Aries and Pluto, retrograde in Aquarius, is also having a nice trine to this new moon, supporting our growth. And so there's going to be a lot of fire and air signs involved right now in the future. And these really will help us with movement because earth sign like Taurus really had us stuck. Nothing wrong with earth signs. It's just that we were kind of stuck. It gave us time to think and really be positive about our future. And so now we're in that part where things are going to move quickly because Mercury's also in its own sign and it's not retrograde. The only thing retrograde right now is Aquarius. And so we're at the world key point of the world renewing itself. It's a big beginning that we don't even know how big until a couple of years from now. There's going to be many global changes. There's going to be new leadership with ideals that will help the world over the next few months. So according to Molly McCoy, be very intentional what you're going to do. And according to Pam Gregory, this is the time to step into who we are meant to be, why our soul came back here, especially at this particular time that hasn't happened in thousands of years, and no one has ever lived through this time period. And Jupiter is at 27 degrees, and it's meeting up with Uranus. So Jupiter and Uranus having a nice trine for these next couple of days also supports us changing who we are and what it is we want to do. So Saturn and Jupiter meeting up here in a trine.
really desires freedom. Saturn's thought of freedom is if you work hard, you have money, you have freedom. And Jupiter is here to expand all these thoughts of freedom. And so a lot of this also goes back to 100 years ago when these two met up, nuclear energy was found and released, and it shaped really the way we all interacted with each other. Especially, it stopped the war. It stopped World War II, and America became the power of the world. So now we're at that point again where America is being tested to see if it is truly the power of the world, and how is it using its power? Is it being benevolent or is it being malefic? And so we're in that time where it's looking like America is becoming malefic through the Aries connection. And Mars being in Leo, opposite of Pluto in Aquarius. These are all signatures of war, of anger, of top over bottom, whatever that expression is. And so we are seeing that in the mundane world now. In the personal world, are we seeing that? Are we being bullies? Are we yelling at people for no reason? Are we unable to process our own feelings and then go out into the mundane world and react? Instead of taking care of it internally, you go out and react out in the world, in the mundane world. So this is where the personal and the mundane are having a change, and some people maybe can recognize that, and some people may not recognize that, and that's where we're. So the time to be intentional with your actions is now, because Saturn and Neptune are in Aries. So you must be intentional, because Saturn again is the Lord of Karma. He is Kronos. So be mindful of what you do, be mindful of what you say, and really start to take notes, because the time is going to go by so quickly. As you can see the wind blowing back here, it is air time. It is air and fire. It is hot out and the wind is out. So these are the ways that the earth is trying to help you with the heat. But if you continue to cause global warming, there's nothing that the earth can do besides react and have all these massive hurricanes, while it tries to help its own children on earth, the trees, the birds, the fish. We're not the only children of earth. We are the leaders of everyone on earth, but if we are leading our world into destruction, God will take that away from us too. The astrologers believe there will be a civil war next July, the way things are going, the tension, the way the administration is overpowering the justice system, the rule of law, which has held this country together for 250 years about. We're the youngest country basically on earth, and we've been the leaders because the last time Saturn was here in Aries was when we discovered the nuclear power and used it against Japan for attacking Hawaii. And in that moment, America stopped being an isolationist country and decided to help Europe against the Nazis. And when you look back at it, you go, how could that have happened? How could America have stood there and let that happen? Well, America was going through the Dust Bowl. America didn't have any money to help anyone. America was trying to help itself. And it really figured out finally that if we help the world, we can help ourselves. And that's a lesson that is ingrained into our collective, is that if you help others, you help yourself. And so things are going awry in terms of the misuse of that idea. Now, the reason that war can occur right here has to do with the fact that Aries is the god of war and Saturn is the god of time. Mars is exalted in Saturn, but it is detrimental to Saturn while it's there, because Saturn likes to think about what it's doing, plan it out, whereas Aries likes to jump and do what they want to do at that moment. They're the baby. Baby wants what it wants, right? The baby that's loudest gets what it wants. And so we're seeing that right now on stage in the mundane world, that the baby wants what it wants and it's going to get what it wants, and it's going to have a lot of supporters. So when you think of that,
you'd rather have the baby activate the love that it wants, the kindness that it needs. But again, it's up to the parents to give it to the parent. Give it to the kid, right? So we can see with the new president that growing up, he was really close to his nanny. And then as he got older, he became close to his lawyer. And the things that he learned through that and through his church was that he was blessed and meant to do things. And if you look at his chart, that's probably true. But the way things went in the world did not support that for him. Here today, really being used as a for the very rich and very religious and very white people of America. And that goes back to the karma of slavery, where the South lost, but they didn't want to lose. And they continued showing their flags, their Confederate flags, and honoring all their heroes that were rebels against the state, against the federal government. And so now what's happening is that they want the power to go back to the state and not the federal government. And a lot of that's happening, but you will eventually see that the federal government is the only government that can protect you. It's not the state, it's the federal government. Although the state governments are trying to help. But that's why we believe there will be a civil war in July where some states will withdraw, and Florida could be one of them, because this is where all the billionaires have decided to come, was to Florida, the land of freedom, the Wild West. And now there's all kinds of rules going on. There's a lot of cheating. There's always politicians that are lying to you and cheating and stealing money. That's nothing new. What's new is the amount of people that are standing by and allowing it to happen. Because again, politicians can do insider trading, which is what happened last month with the market. And all these things will eventually come out, but by the time they come out, it's going to be so long from now that they could have done what they wanted with their money and done what they could escape with it, whatever. So we're at that point where the good people have to stand up and become warriors. They can't be sitting there staring at their computer and talking about it. They have to stand up and do something locally to change the world. And if it comes down to a civil war, that's what's going to happen. And we can see all the wars occurring. And the other day, Pakistan and India decided to step down because they both have nuclear weapons. Instead of continuing their civil war they've had forever, they decided to step down because maybe they figured out that, hey, we used to exist here comfortably, happily. We were all friends. It's been a time of reckoning in terms of karma is built, and this karma isn't like the last two wars. This karma is a 2,000-year war that's getting ready to happen. And when we look back, when all these things were occurring, we had inventions that helped the world to be better, but it didn't always work. So my last message, because this is a long podcast, is because it's the new season of Gemini, and all the active planets will be moving this summer into our future, and we'll get to sneak peek at that, and we really want to watch that. Okay, and to my children, spiritual children, I love you. I hope everything's going fine. Call me, text me, and thank you for reaching out to me. I appreciate it to know that you're doing well. And to my friend, I'm so happy that you're rehabbing and you're doing well. And to my son who's up in Utah, great job. And I really appreciate you guys. And I'll be back next week.